Hello,
Carolyn
Mark.
Dufton.
Hello, please.
From Franchising Plus.
Hello.
That can either be a word or just a plus symbol, can't it? Yeah.
FP Plus.
FP Plus. Welcome to Business Insider.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to have you here and talk about franchising and your continuously evolving role to an author's level now. We won't plug the book again, but no. We might offer it for sale through the site, but we'll have to discuss that later as well. The first step, let's do some background, because franchising has been deeply ingrained in your life. When did you start with it all?
Well, I had a business that I started in 1988 that I franchised in 1991-92 at a time when franchising really wasn't very common. So it was quite a challenge to do that. But I realised it was really inevitable for the growth of the business. The business was growing geographically, and we were having challenges in servicing clients remotely, and it was a baby equipment hire business. And at that point we had hundreds of items of baby equipment. We tried having agents who were actually hiring out the equipment for us, but it didn't work. They didn't have that vested interest in the business.
So it was a classic model waiting for the love and commitment and capital of a franchisee.
Yeah, there was really no option.
No.
There was no option to grow the business.
And then when did you get out of that?
1998, I sold.
So you sold? Okay.
I did. I sold to one of my franchisees with 25 franchises, and they've now taken it to over 70 around Australia. So it's still good to see. It's still a very viable business.
So in 98, you said you got out?
Yes.
Yeah. And then thought, okay, we've learned a bit, so where can I take it? Is that when Franchising Plus arrived?
No.
Right. Okay, finish the story. Just keep rolling. I told you I got 15 minutes here, Carol.
I actually became a mentor, voluntary mentor, for quite a while, because I was getting withdrawal symptoms from being needed. Because all my franchisees needed me so much, and suddenly I wasn't needed anymore. So I did a lot of mentoring and a few other things on the side, but I was always known as the franchising lady, and the mentorees would say, I want the franchising lady, and I thought, you know, something's telling me something here. I think I have to formalise this. And so I went and did a diploma in business and franchising, and started Franchising Plus in 2007.
Okay, so it's still relatively new. But,
yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. Since 2007 to now, lots have changed in franchising. I'm keen, I guess, to hear about strategies in your business, though, that you maybe tried and then moved on from. Are there one or two strategies that stand out?
I believe that the most useful, practical thing that I do in my business, and have been doing for a number of years, is being part of a mastermind group.
All right, okay.
And in the mastermind group, they're not people with a franchising background at all, very diverse backgrounds and experience. But being part of a mastermind group, there are 5 of us. We keep each other challenged, educated, and accountable. And being in a supportive group like that gives me the courage in business to move forward with ideas that I know have been brainstormed.
Because they're really your advisory board, aren't they, in a lot of ways?
Yeah, it's like having a board of directors.
Where are they based?
On the Central Coast.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Everybody's on the Central Coast. We meet fortnightly. And I think that has been really one of the key things I have done in my business in the last few years that's kept me on track.
Okay, cool. In the development of your business, what's going to happen in the next 12 months, 2 years? Is it going to be more of the same, or are you right now, a previous speaker would have described, okay, Caroline's got a great job. Carolyn has got a great job. Are you building a business?
Yes, good point. Good point. One that I struggle with all the time.
Don't we all?
Working in my business far too much, but also making a very conscious point to work on my business. And interestingly, what I had thought about on this topic was the fact that my philosophy is I want to make franchising easy and accessible for people. And I believe that by providing products that are available on the website for people to access information cost effectively without having to involve me as a consultant, particularly in the early stages, if they're just thinking vaguely about franchising, they can actually buy products, information products that can help them reach a conclusion themselves as to whether they've gone, well, not for me, or whether they're chomping at the bit then to actually get on with the franchising process.
And then call you? Or
yes, yes, at that point where you really need that individual attention. I don't believe in franchising in the box in that sense.
Yeah, okay. In the last couple of years, or even as you look forward, is there anything that you kind of think, oh, I would have really loved to have done that a little differently? You know, there are no failures, there's only feedback.
Yeah.
This is going out there to business developers and owners on the Central Coast, and they'd love to hear, okay, Caroline, would have done this a bit differently. Is there something you look back at and couldn't be taking more holidays, because whenever I want to talk to you, you're always on holiday. So we'll talk about work life in a minute. But is there a moment you would have said, we could have done that differently?
I think my biggest challenge is the cloning.
Yeah.
That I do work in my business a great deal. Luckily, because I actually enjoy working in my business, I believe that I have to put it all in context, and that acknowledge that the business I'm in, I can bring people in to help me as consultants, and I do that from time to time. Unfortunately, I am my brand at the moment, and I do see that as a disadvantage.
Do you step back regularly and review that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, constantly. Constantly, and I think this is why I'm trying to develop the products and the services more, and spend some time and investment on that.
Well, maybe on your next holiday. Let's talk about work-life.
Oh, I'm good at that.
Anyone who knows you knows you're pretty... No, and I shouldn't belittle that, because you do take breaks.
I do.
Has that been a conscious thing since... tell me about how you develop work-life balance.
Definitely. Well, in the early days when I had my hire business, I had to work very long hours, and I had to work at the weekends too. And then when I started franchising, I was able to actually step back and work on the business, and I was no longer hiring, and I could take weekends off. And with young children, that was really what I was aiming for. But I made a conscious decision at that point that really weekends should be a family time. Now my girls are grown up, and they don't want to spend time with me. No, they do, but not much.
Not as much as
and but I've still kept those habits of trying to keep my weekends free. I do work at weekends occasionally. Yesterday I did, but and during the week, because when you're self-employed, you can allow yourself that flexibility. If I want to do something at lunchtime, for example, then I'll just work a little longer in the evening or start a little earlier in the morning. I do put a lot of hours in, but that's because I choose to.
And another, it's a prying question in a lot of ways, but something you've come to grips with to get here, and that is, okay, well, what is special about Franchising Plus? You know, we talk about unique selling propositions or unique buying reasons. What does Caroline do that is unique, do you think?
I think I'm a human being with a sense of humour and a holistic approach to the business proposition and to the person.
Okay, we're going to unpack that for a little while, because you've said some words there I don't understand at all. The
human being.
The human being? Yeah, what is that? What do you bring to, hey, here's some news, so am I. No, what do you bring?
I believe I bring that human, personal approach to the business, where instead of saying, okay, your business is franchisable, using a word that doesn't exist, that I actually look at the person and say, okay, but are you a person to franchise the business? because I believe there are a lot of people in franchising that shouldn't be in franchising.
Have you ever talked people out of franchising?
Very often. Very often. I would say 50% of the people that I get in, even pre-feasibility, I talk them out of it. I might put it on hold. I might say, come back to me in a couple of years. Yeah, about 50% I talk out. I'm quite proud of that.
I think it's a great thing. Probably, my feeling is you probably need to talk more out of it. But because
and actually, that's probably my point of difference. I don't think many consultants talk people out of franchising.
Okay, and that's got more to do with business skills. I think the fact that you've actually operated a franchise.
I think it's because I'm ethical, because I truly believe that some people should not be in franchising, and it's not their business unless they can structure their business where they can have a real people person at the helm who cares about franchise relationships. I don't believe that that sort of person should be in business, and I'm not there to make a quick buck out of it. For me, it goes deeper. I'm not just all about the financial side of it.
Okay, that's good. Let's talk about I was going to say it is time now to get on your soapbox. You know, you can have your rant for a couple of 60 seconds. That's what the questions do. Yeah. So you look at the business environment. You can be anywhere you like. What's your rant topic? What gets up your nose?
My rant is, I just touched upon it then, is franchisors who shouldn't be franchisors and franchisees who shouldn't be franchisees. I believe that if due diligence is done by franchisee and franchisor, that they would understand more about the nature of the business that they're about to embark upon. Franchisees often do not acknowledge their responsibilities and obligations as a franchisee. They've signed an agreement to work within the system, and yet when it comes to it, after 2 or 3 years, they think they're perfectly capable of running that business themselves, and they don't want to be a franchisee anymore, and they cause a lot of trouble within the network. Conversely, there are some franchisors that horrify me with their business practices, and I believe that they've gone into franchising for the wrong reasons, and that they do not take into consideration the fact that it is a relationship. Franchising, if done properly, is a true win-win situation excuse me, between franchisor and franchisee. And I believe that there are many franchisors out there who have just not considered that when they've gone into building a franchise system.
That's your time's up. Now I have a question for you. Western Australia and South Australia governments or had private members' bills presented to break away from the national franchising legislation.
Yeah.
Do you have a comment on that or a feeling on that?
I do, and they've actually now, it's been overruled, and it's going to continue to be one code of conduct, which it really needs to be. Franchising, because of the nature of Australia, most franchisors, their vision has to include expanding interstate, and it just causes confusion for everybody involved, including myself, if there's different legislation within the different states. I believe that the franchising world and the business world in Australia is far too small to start having state laws around franchising. I just don't believe it would work. The Trade Practices Act is federal, and the Franchising Code of Conduct operates within the Trade Practices Act. And I believe it needs to be federal law and definitely not separate state legislation.
Okay. Carolyn, just talking about your mastermind group, it's on the Central Coast, 5 participants. How did it start and how long has it been running for?
Interesting question. It started from the Women in Business mentoring program back in 2000. And the mentoring program was so successful that the mentors and the mentorees decided that when the program was finished, they did not want to finish the relationship. And a small group of the people from that group continued meeting, And about 3 years ago, 4 of the people from that group, and then a 5th one was invited externally. We formalised the mastermind agreement, the mastermind arrangement, and so it all started from a mentoring program.
Okay. But mastermind is a franchised operation in itself, is it, or
ours is just informal?
Oh right, okay, okay, yeah. Are there any others on the coast, or because I've heard the phrase mastermind? And
I believe that we have inspired many other individuals on the Central Coast, and I have actually encouraged other individuals on the Central Coast to join mastermind groups because of the networking groups that have great kudos, but a mastermind is much smaller, more intimate. You have more time, you can get in depth with topics, and the most important part is it's confidential, highly confidential. What's said in the group stays in the group.
That's cool. Okay, because we'd love to. That's in our space. That's Business Insider all over. You know, part of this is introducing Carolyn to the greater Central Coast, so more people know what you've done, and if they are in need of a discussion initially, and then support on the process, because I have to declare some vested interest here. You've been a great help to the Big Paddle organisation.
Thank you.
So with that humanity and those ethics, which at another level, I think we could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours on, but thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Radio.
Thank you.